Hello and welcome to FTT Chats. I'm Lisa Moyle, Director of Strategy at BC Innovations, and today we are delighted to have with us Alistair McQueen, Head of Savings and Retirement at Aviva. Hello, Alistair.
Hi there, Lisa. Good to speak to you.
Yeah, great. Thanks for joining us today. I hope we could just kick off with you telling us a little bit about yourself and your role at Aviva.
Sure. Well, let me just begin by introducing Aviva. Shouldn't assume that everybody knows. Aviva, the largest insurance company in the United Kingdom, the oldest insurance company in the world. We've been trading in this business since 1696, so 300 plus years old. But the backbone of our business is helping customers in the UK, 50 million of them in the UK, save for and protect their goods and well-beings, and 30 million around the world in general. In my role in particular, I'm in the savings and retirement business. We help 6 million people in the United Kingdom save for and live in retirement. And my responsibility is to make sure that the voices of those people are heard by the ears of government, their interests are heard by those in the media and the regulators, so that the growing number of people who are saving for their retirement have their needs met, both by Aviva, but also by the people around them, including the government and the media, as I say.
Great. And looking at savings and retirement, which, as you suggested, are hugely important issues for individuals, society, what are some of the ways that Aviva kind of helps people bridge what are really difficult issues to both discuss and understand?
Sure. Well, I think, first of all, we approach the product through various channels. The simple pension product, it can be a confusing product, but we don't assume that everybody wants to approach it in the same way. So we help thousands of employers provide their staff with workplace pensions. Many of the brands that your viewers will be familiar with have pensions behind the scenes with Aviva. We help anybody who has their own financial advisor work with us and their financial advisor to come to Aviva and secure their own pension vehicle to save with. And the growing number of people who are coming direct to Aviva, very much using the internet and online services to purchase their pension and savings vehicles themselves. So the first thing is that we don't close doors to anybody. We listen to all of our customers, and whether they approach us via their employer, via a financial advisor, or via us direct themselves, then we're here to serve those customers. And we spend an awful lot of time trying to bust many of the myths around this product. There's a record number of people saving privately for their retirement in the United Kingdom today. More than 20 million people in the United Kingdom actively saving privately for their retirement. And for a number of years, it's been a cloudy issue, a confusing issue, but an issue of growing importance. So our responsibility is to serve customers as best we can and communicate with them as clearly as we can so that they can take control of their own retirement destiny, with Aviva hopefully being by their side.
Can you give me some examples of some of the ways in which you're directly looking at taking down some of those barriers to understanding and bringing people into savings and retirement, and the kind of product, and accessing the kind of products and services they need to secure their future?
Yeah, well, I think three things I'd highlight. One is we certainly sit across the table from government, just to make sure that the environment in which people are saving is the right environment for them. And that has been a very positive dialogue that Aviva has had with the government over the past decade, really culminating in an event that began in 2012 when it became the law in the United Kingdom that every employer in this country must give their staff access to a workplace pension. Prior to that coming into place, 1 in 10 employers were providing those savings vehicles. Now it's 10 in 10. So well done to the nearly 1 million employers plus that are now doing that. And that's brought with them 10 million more savers into the savings arena. So that legal dialogue with the government is very important and has driven many benefits. But closer to home, I would identify our better use of language. Historically, I think we would use language that meant something to us in the industry but meant nothing to people beyond our walls. I suppose it would be like a car manual. as if we were car mechanics and expecting everybody who drives a car to be car mechanics, and clearly drivers are not. I am certainly not. So we've really worked to improve our language so that the user knows what they need to know and doesn't know what they don't need to know, and don't let that confusion get in the way. And we're seeing positive results there. And thirdly, as in many industries, the technology and the power of the internet has really transformed the way in which people can now engage with their pensions. But we've got so much further to go with the use of the internet and digital technology. Aviva has been on the record in saying that pensions is in the digital stone age. If you look at the record number of people in the United Kingdom who do now access and regularly use the internet, 95% of the population plus do that. About 8 in 10 people use it for online banking, but only 1 in 10 will think of using the internet to manage their pension online. So one, it shows we've got a lot of catching up to do, but secondly, it shows the huge potential, huge opportunity, not just for Aviva, but anybody who's got an expertise in this area. How can we use that new technology to bridge the gap between the need to save and the people who need to save?
Yeah, so technology clearly has a lot to do in supporting both on the communication side and on reaching people.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. And thinking about, the kind of services you provide and the significant gains in longevity that we've seen in many societies across the world, what are some of the ways in which that you're helping prepare people for what are going to be longer lives and perhaps longer working lives?
Sure. Well, I think there's a good news, bad news story when it comes to savings for retirement. Once you get somebody engaged, it's a good news, bad news story. The good news is that we are living longer. This year, give or take, happens to be the 100th anniversary of the British monarchy, sending telegrams to people on their 100th birthday. 100 years ago, it was King George V in the United Kingdom, and he said, let's celebrate people reaching the 100th birthday. 100 years ago, he sent 24 telegrams. This year, the Queen will send more than 10,000 telegrams to people celebrating the 100th birthday. So life expectancy has been transformed over the past century, but we've fallen out of love with the need to save. And we love spending. So that's not a good place to be, living longer but not saving enough. And what we recognize is that it's unrealistic in a large extent to engage people entering their career in pension savings. It's a tough challenge to do that. The younger generation have understandably got other priorities, getting on the housing ladder, establishing a family perhaps, paying off student debt, building a career. That's a tough audience to get engaged, and that's where the great system of automatic enrollment works, because without mass engagement, they're already saving. And once somebody gets into maybe their late 50s, they're really on the glide path towards retirement, and therefore you're preparing for retirement as against preparing for the longer term future. The audience that we really need to work on engaging is those in between. We might call them the midlife generation, maybe between 45 and 55, 45 and 60, a generation that has got increasing self-responsibility for their own retirement well-being, and has also got time on its side to take some action. So as an example, one of the things that Aviva has done and continues to do is deliver a service we call their midlife MOT, first of all for our staff, but also making it available to our employer clients for their staff. And this is, as the name suggests, like a car MOT, a once a year service. We're not looking at your car mechanics, but looking at your life mechanics, looking at it through 3 lenses. Your wealth, your finances, are they on track? Your work and career, is that on track? And finally, your health and well-being. If we are living longer, it's very probable that we will be expected to, and maybe even need to, and in some cases want to work longer. But making sure we've got our wealth, our work, and our well-being in a good place will put us in a very strong place to thrive, not just survive, when we get to the opportunity and challenges of our longer working life.
So picking up on that theme of the future of work and longer working lives as a strategy to maintain future income and for other reasons, as you pointed out, I know that you're joining us on a panel at FTT Virtual Spring to discuss just that. Can you talk about some of the steps that Aviva is taking as an employer to support employees who are on that path for longer working lives?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, the MOT itself, an annual intervention that's a culture change into the organization, really challenging the perception that had established itself inside Aviva and maybe some other established organizations that career development ended at 50. That myth had to be bust, and this targeted intervention was a way of busting that myth. Listening to our people, 2 in 3 of our population in that 45 plus demographic told us that they feared that age was a barrier to opportunity. And again, we had to challenge and understand why that was the case. But we also had to understand and appreciate the needs of this demographic. This is either call it the midlife demographic, the 45 to 55 demographic, or some people might call it the sandwich generation. Sandwich because it's sandwiched between looking after the needs of younger members of their family and increasingly caring for the needs of older members of their family. And so a great strain. It's actually found the 45 to 55 demographic is the least happy and most anxious demographic in the United Kingdom. So it's an audience that needs support. So we give them this intervention, we give them this support, but also we respond to their needs. So for example, we give in our organization greater caring leave for those people that have caring responsibilities. We were great at giving caring support for parents of young children, but we had suppose forgotten about people with older relatives that they have to care for. So we give greater carer support. And we celebrate publicly in the organization people that break the mold that we maybe have perceived about this demographic. So people in their 60s who are doing apprenticeships, people who are starting new activities, people who are rising through the organizational tree at all ages, people that are working in reduced hours, but in a very innovative way and giving back to the organization in a different way. So celebrating experience of all ages, but trying to create a culture where age is no barrier to opportunity. That's great for the individual, we believe, and we also believe it's great for Aviva as an employer. Why would I say that? Well, in the next decade, about 7 million young people will leave school, college, and universities and enter the workforce. In the same decade, at the current rates at which people are leaving, we'll lose about 12 million people from the workforce in the United Kingdom if we cannot hold on to these people and value their skills. And a 5 million worker shortfall across the UK is not good for the competitiveness of the economy. And Aviva wants to be at the front of the queue when we can find the brilliant talent is amongst this generation. So we're not just doing it for altruistic reasons, we're doing it for very commercial reasons as well. So we can win what we believe will be a strong war for talent amongst this age group.
So given those numbers that you described, companies, this is really an imperative, not just something that's nice to do for employees who are working for you for longer.
Yeah, well, certainly that's Aviva's passionate belief, and that's why we're making this investment. We believe that there's a strong return on the investment. The people who go through these programs that we provide tell us that they feel more confident and they feel more aware and more appreciative of the support that Aviva is providing. So that culture change has been driven, but also for the bottom line, we see an enhanced retention of skills, we see reduced absenteeism, greater participation in training programs across all ages, greater contribution to private pension saving for these people, preparing them for their future. And so if we can invest some money, then the return that we get on that is a win for Aviva and a win for the individuals, which is where we're trying to get to. So we're very much banging the drum to other employers that this is where the needs will come. The demographic pressures are clear, they're not going to change. And so a forward-thinking employer will be putting the needs of all of its staff, but also in particular giving close consideration to those in the midlife demographic.
Well, I think that's a great message to get out to any employers that are listening. And finally, we can't really have a conversation without touching on the current situation. Clearly, this is a very anxious and difficult time for many, many people. What's some of the advice that you're giving to your clients, you know, in terms of how they should respond when they see all, you know, hear all these negative things about stock markets and you know, rates of unemployment around them? What are some of the things that you would advise your clients to do?
Yeah. Well, yes, you're right to suggest that it's an anxious time. And in our world, through our lens, we see the very strong volatility in investment markets, and that's a direct impact on people's savings. And we're also aware that the largest single source of private wealth in the United Kingdom is in pensions. There's more money in pension savings than there is in any other asset in the United Kingdom, including property. So volatility in the economy is a great anxiety cause for many individuals. And the three simple pieces of advice that we try and give to anybody that we speak to, in the spirit of being clear and simple and positive, is one, keep calm. Investment decisions made under stress are very rarely good ones, so keep calm. Secondly, focus on the longer term. Saving for your retirement for most people is not a 1 week, 1 month, or even 1 year activity. And just remember that. Don't let short-term volatility dictate long-term actions. And thirdly, seek help if you are concerned. And by that, I don't just mean pay for financial advice. Do that if you wish. But there's a raft of free help available from companies like Aviva, but also from agencies from the government. And we point people in the directions of where they can get help. So if people can keep calm, focus on the longer term, and seek help, then they'll be much better placed to navigate these uncertain times.
I think those are three really good points and great bits of advice to end on. So thank you so much for joining us today, Alistair.
Thank you very much.
Take care.